Okay, take two. Oh my god, modern technology pisses me off. It's like only good for millennials to jack off, and I don't mean to diss millennials, guys. It's just dumb shit getting in the way and cut off my last video, and I was doing really good. Hey, you guys, so, I'm really furtive about my, identity, so it's really dark, and I'm working nighttime security anyway, and that's the way I like it. And this shit's fucking blinding me, dear God. Whatchamacallit, with facial recognition technology and me being a subversive person and all this kind of stuff, I'm pretty furtive, so that's why it's so damn dark and stuff. And I don't know if you could see anything. Okay, yeah, sure. So my phone's messed up, so there might be some glitching right now and stuff. So anyway, guys, I hate it how when you click on something on YouTube, there's such a long intro, and I'm gonna stop blinding myself. I'm just gonna put this shit in front of my face. Yeah, I work nighttime security, and sometimes I freak myself out, but this is a true story. And as I was saying before this thing cut me off, about sleep paralysis, I find comfort that, with the advent of the internet or whatever, because I'm way from the 21st century and I'm like technologically, inept. Now that I can see that other people have gone through the same things and even worse, I know this is just in my mind, that this is universal, and skeptics or naturalists or atheists or whatever are going to claim how sleep paralysis is some kind of glitch in the brain and all this kind of stuff. They make a lot of valid points, but I kind of really doubt that, because if you hear some of my stories, if YouTube will permit like a 15-minute video or whatever I could spiel out, yeah, man, you decide for yourself. I am being as truthful as possible about my happenstances, and I am talking to a buddy right now who's I guess he's 23 years old, and he's having a lot of, he's calling it night terrors and sleep paralysis and major insomnia too. And it's just really weird that this guy has had a gun pulled on him, like, I want to say he said twice, and in like a week and a half span. And it's just pretty damn ironic, and where I'm working at right here, I've had a gun pulled on me too, about 2 months ago for the first time in my life. And just a lot of what do you call it, idiosyncrasies, or is that character flaws? Like, whatever the hell is happening to his life right now, it's pretty weird and jolted me to make this video, blah, 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 cut to the chase, right? So, when I think I was, they say he had no memories before 5 years old. I want to say it was before I was 5 years old. Being the only kid, I remember someone was coming over to the house, and I was really excited about it because I'm planning to show off my toys or whatever to this person, a friend of family, and everybody wanted to act like no one was home. And when I realized it was just going to be a normal, boring day, just, being alone and crap, as the only child, no brothers and sisters, it kind of got really depressed, and I had like a brief vision, right? Howbeit, I'm like 3 or 4 years old. I must have been tops 5 years old and can't recollect very well. Like, I supposedly had a hernia surgery when I think I was like 3 years old, or tonsils taken out or something. I remember that. I remember being on the operating table. So if they say you had no memories before 5, it's really ironic. So anyway, man, that freaked me the hell out. Train. I hope you can still hear me. So I had this brief vision where I saw a world that was like, it was like blue. And the first thing I noticed about this world was like, there's no time. And it's very scary because, like, fast forward 20 plus 30 years later, I'm hearing stories about people who claim that they saw the afterlife, or they briefly died medically and got brought back to life. And like at least 2 accounts I could think of, I think, that the person said the first thing they realized about the afterlife is there's no time. So anyway, it's like a place or a room that's like the most depressing kind of blue color. And in the middle of this room is like, I think what people call the Hat Man and sleep paralysis, but I never thought it was a Hat Man. I thought it was like some kind of contorted, malignant, dark tree. It's like a lifeless object alive. Like it's like some kind of fucking thing in the middle. It's a black shadow thing that you could tell it's like dead but conscious and like aware of you. And I shrugged that shit off, you know, and later in life, whenever I would feel like there's like, you know, you ever hear, if you look up shadow people, or, you know, it's always like the naturalist, like it's always convenient. It's always in a dark corner. It's always in the corner of your eye. Yeah, so I would think the same kind of thing, and I would brush it off too. Like, I'm just imagining there's no monster in the closet. That's just what every kid would think. My parents, they're gonna be like, shut up, you sissy. Like, people are gonna laugh at me if I talk about these shadow beings I'm seeing in the corner of my eye, in like a dark crevice of the house, foreboding presences that I will hear the later term is called. And I never wanted to tell anybody about this because they're just gonna laugh at me. It's like, oh, the boogeyman, right? So I never really wanted to confide in people. When I tried to, my parents, like 5 years old, they would like basically, it's so frustrated. 5 years old, I started noticing that like I would just feel something that's like freaking watching you, man. And to the point it would paralyze you with so much fear that your ears start ringing louder than speed metal. Like, what the, you know? So, yeah, so what, like 5 years old, that's when the things, you know, like, so for a long time, I didn't have sleep paralysis till I want to say 16 years old, but I always feel these foreboding presences. So the first time I ever have sleep paralysis, I want to believe it's like 16 years old. And the ironic things that were happening at the time is my next door neighbor, who, she used to dabble in the occult. She liked punk rock and stuff. And she showed me this picture of her kid that was standing in front of the room in front of the house that she kind of grew up in, and there, you know, there was like a white smudge in the background. And ironically, yeah, she's right, that it kind of did look like a Native American skull with a headdress. But yeah, you know, I'm like, oh, that's interesting, and you want to believe it to scare yourself or sound like it has an interesting story, but you don't know. It could be just a glitch on the thing that happens to be like a white smear, right? But shortly after that, and then I'm starting to listen to what Christians would call very occultic music. I was pretty enamored with the album Seventh Son from Iron Maiden, and that's when I first started. You know, like one day I want to say 16 years old, and I wake up, but I can't move, and it's freaking me out. And you have like two decisions: do I just fall back to give in and go back to sleep? Or do I fight this and get awake? Am I going to die if I let myself just go to sleep? This is weird. I can't move. This happens so many times that I want to like, I'm trying to like wiggle around so I fall off the bed and knock myself awake. That's what my rationale is. And I could, you know, you feel like you're fucking moving, squirming, and then when you finally pop out of it, you realize you didn't move at all. And then, you know, I realized I'm in a dark room all by myself. I lived alone at that age, at 15 years old. It's a long story from having, whatchamacallit. I had some rent money because a parent died and all this other stuff, like Social Security money, I mean. So I lived alone, and my step family is all tumultuous and stuff like that. So you get the point. But sooner or later, and try to sum it up, starting to have sleep paralysis where I could feel like something slowly crawling on the bed next to me. That was pretty freaky. That's when you're like, oh, Jesus, okay, I'll change my ways, like that, and your ears start ringing like hell. And then every time I pop out of this kind of stuff, by like 3 p.m. the next day, you want to say it's all in your brain, and like the woes of life and stuff like that that's already made you re-negative, and you don't really want to frickin' acquiesce to the good Lord upstairs, whatever. You kind of shrug it off till it happens again a later night, right? So I remember this one time, like in the hallway or whatever, I'm like, no, oh my God, no, Jesus, oh my God, like, you know, and like fucking my ears start ringing like shit. I'm like, no fucking way. Is that the shadow being that I saw when I was a kid, that I'm always afraid was watching me and shit on and off my whole fucking latchkey kid life, so to speak? And yeah, like literally. And so like, is that the fucking, no, my God, you know, like, dude, fucking horrible terrors. And I'm like, no, fuck no, is that really fucking eyes? Red eyes, like round eyes, materializing. And then years later, you know, this one account, somebody saw basically the same thing talking about the internet. So a naturalist is going to say that somehow we all were monkeys in trees and we're afraid of shadows and predators. Yeah, that happen to have fucking red eyes. Sure. So anyway, yeah, so that was fucking really freaky. Where else am I going with this? Yeah, so that's pretty crazy. And then the worst that I ever fucking got, man. I'm like 22 years old. I had this really weird dream. I looked up in a dream book that happened to be on a stand where I'm waiting in line at a fucking grocery store, and it was very accurate when it's talking about the interpretation of dreams. That's another story. Blah blah blah. But yeah, so I have this major sleep paralysis where there's like this gremlin thing in the middle of the room. I've heard that account too, with like glowing fucking eyes. I can feel myself crawling on the floor. I slept on the floor, and I could feel myself crawling in the hallway to try to beg my roommate to like kick me awake or something. I could feel the carpet all my face, you know, like probably drooling on it and stuff. And then when I finally pop out of it, I never moved. And then, okay, so other sleep paralysis things. I remember one time I fell asleep in my car. I had a little silly pet cat that used to ride with me. And I remember it staring out into nothing when I'm waiting for some gym to open. I'm going to wake up later, go take a shower, work out. It looked like it was just staring at something, whatever, go to sleep. It was a really ugly looking place, like where, like, you know, homeless people would probably hang out at, or fucking like have alcohol, depression. Probably people would screw and throw condoms and butts of trash around. So yeah, I was parking there. So, you know, then another sleep paralysis shit. I just had a what else? I remember a girl sleeping in the back of my van, and she popped to, and she's like, oh, you know, and then she said something about how she felt, whatever. I'm like, did you feel like you're being dragged in the middle of the seats? I scared the shit out of her. And she's like, yeah, like, how do I know? And then I got scared because I don't want to freak her out. I want her to keep putting out in my car, right? And then recently, my last sleep paralysis episode, it wasn't that long ago. Same shit. Oh, no, actually, I didn't feel like I was being dragged between the seats this time. I felt like someone was pushing the car. And it's a long story why because there's this parking discrepancy I have, so I'm always worried about some motorcycle or small compact car parking in front of me and blocking my like parallel parking way to edge myself out. It's a long story. So I feel like something's pushing the car and stuff. I'm like, oh, in a minute I'm gonna get up, kick someone's ass, just 1 minute, ugh, I pop out, and I realize, wait, my right mind pops out, it comes back, and I'm like, there's no one pushing my car. I like put the e-brake on every time. It's in park, man. I have the keys on my person, and then I look out the window. It never moved. I'm like, and then I could feel like there's a presence in the front seat. So I start joking about like, hey, man, aren't you so glad that like when Jesus comes back, he's gonna like throw all the demons in hell, and their bed's gonna be maggots, worms, and flames, something like that. It hasn't happened since, and I'm not a really strong Christian or whatever, and I should be. You know, I'm stupid, that, you know, but yeah, you know, average guys out there, you know how it is, man. The whole war to get ahead and women problems and stuff like that make you so cynical. But yeah, anyway, man, that's my account of sleep paralysis, and I hope this video fits on YouTube. So yeah, man, God bless. That's my series.